Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 18 of the J Situation podcast. I'm recording this on June 9th, 2020. How you folks doing? Hopefully better. It's been pretty crazy out there. A couple of quick housekeeping items for you first. If you folks want to support us, head to pewscience.com. There are different membership options, and every little bit helps. Your membership supports this podcast, our testing, our analysis, and the reviews we offer, and it helps push the industry forward as a whole, one test at a time. And you also get more data if you join, which so far our members are really liking, according to the feedback we have received. So that is an option if you are interested, and you can cancel anytime. If you can't, or if you don't want to join, that's perfectly okay. There are also other ways to support Pew Science that don't cost you any money at all. For example, you can give this podcast a 5-star rating on iTunes. You can also tell your friends, dealers, manufacturers. You can tell them all about Pew Science, what we're doing. You can help spread the word, and we can grow this thing. I think we can. I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, enough about all that boring stuff. Now, there is something besides Pew Science that I'm very excited about. Well, there are a lot of things, but one thing in particular right now I'm very excited about is that my gym is fully open and folks are really back into the swing of things. Man, I've been having some really great workouts with my bros, my broettes. My old lifting buddy, Big Ryan, was in town yesterday visiting. Man, he lives in Arizona now. Shout out to Big Ryan, junior world IPF bench press champion. He is a big dude, solid dude. A lot of good training with Ryan over the years. Super solid guy. We got at some squats yesterday. It was nice. Good to train with him again. You know, just so you know, the IPF, the International Powerlifting Federation, is drug tested. And so, you know, if you don't know anything about powerlifting, you know, IPF is like the legit federation, like the legit organization. You know, it is pretty strict referee standards, so pretty strict judging standards in competition. And it has USADA and WADA drug testing. So it's, you know, you're always going to have people who slip through the cracks, but yeah, it's a pretty legit organization. So anyway, that's some powerlifting trivia for you if you care. So then, you know, this week is really starting off productive. Man, it's Tuesday right now. Man, I love when I'm able to hit the ground running like that in a week. You know, it often happens to me, like when I spend the second or later half of a Sunday, like going super ham with work to get ahead for the week. And I kind of did that with Pew Science this past Sunday. You know, we'll talk about that later on this episode. So, man, is anyone else working from home, though? Because, man, I am. I'm still working from home. Now, we have the option to go back. Okay, but gosh, right now, I'm actually pretty productive at home. And the logistics of the whole thing are pretty awesome. So, I've officially settled in to my home office, right? So, you know, my home office, which coincidentally is my favorite room in the house, you know, except for my gun room, I guess. So, you know, the office is pretty nice. I got a lot of dead animals on the walls, you know, if you want to picture it. I have many leather-bound books. No, I do have some leather-bound books, not many leather. That's weird, right? But yeah, you know, once the podcast start back up on this thing, once travel starts getting going more, I think I want to start bringing some here to my house. I have some extra room. Actually, I was thinking of making a studio. I don't know. You know, baby steps with that one maybe. I like to dream big though. I feel like I need an intern or an assistant. I was actually thinking of hiring an engineering intern or a student that I would saddle with like 100 NDAs and have them help us out with Pew Science and the podcast. I don't know. That might be something I do. I don't know. I might ask for resumes. I don't know. Or maybe I won't. Don't get your hopes up. I was actually just speaking with some followers on Instagram today, like literally right before I started recording this, about adding video element to the podcast. You know, it's entirely possible. We'll see what the future holds. I also floated the idea of having some industry folks on the podcast and answering listener questions as gun guys. So that would be not as corporate guys, just as a few gun guys sitting around talking about guns, you know, to get perspectives from folks outside their corporate shackles, as it were. You know, does that make sense? So I don't know. It might be hard, you know, depending on several factors, but I bet some folks I've had on already will do it. And I'm sure I get Kevin from Q to do it. I bet you I can get folks from CGS, Dead Air. I know they would. Like, maybe if it's not here, we go somewhere else and do it, but I bet we could. Now, as far as like getting them all there in one place, like at once, now that's a little crazy, and that might be actually super awesome, but that might take a little more work. But hey, you never know. You never know what you can do. So baby steps. Okay, let's get into today's topics. I got a bunch of stuff. Man, we're gonna see how far we get. I know I always say that, and we usually cover everything I have planned, but we'll see. I got about 6 things on my list here. First one, I want to talk about the reception of the Dead Air Sandman-S review. Okay, it's a very popular silencer, right? Very popular. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that test data. Second thing I want to address is going to be some mount feedback. I would like to address a comment that we received on the website regarding some things I said on the previous episode. So I think this deserves some time for me to respond to that. Third topic, I want to talk about the Liberty Kodiak TL. And this is an older monocore rimfire silencer, and it's getting a facelift. So I want to talk about that. Kind of a neat thing, blast from the past, as it were. And then topic 4, more parts arrival for one of the builds. So I think the important thing here is to not look at receipts when you build guns. It's better to just forget about money. We'll talk about that. Topic 5, 300 blackout ammo update. I finally grabbed some on Monday, so that's kind of exciting for me. I'll talk about that with you. And then the last one, I do want to tell you, there's a new review coming this week. I'm going to add some stuff to it that I think folks will find useful. Kind of a new feature, as it were. I think this is a big deal, so we'll talk about that. Okay. Topic 1. Yeah, Dead Air Sandman. Man, pretty popular. So, first things first, though. For those of you who listened to the previous episode, you recall that we were operating with a perfect record so far with regard to speaking with every manufacturer prior to a release review. And we were doing that to continue our initiative of industry outreach in good faith and to ensure all manufacturers have an opportunity to discuss our methodology, test results, discuss all that stuff with us prior to a public Pew Science internally funded review going live. So there, will be less surprises, and so that they can help to educate their consumer base, if they receive questions, things like that. That's the gist of it. You've probably, if you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard me say this again and again. Well, we were having some issues getting in touch with Dead Air. But regardless, I was able to meet with their new marketing guy prior to the review, Rich. He's a very nice guy. Very nice, and he's relatively new to this whole thing and silent, Dead Air in general and this stuff. And And so I fully briefed him on everything. And so now, technically, Dead Air continues our win streak of 100% industry outreach before review publication. So that to me is awesome. And I had faith we were going to be able to make it happen. And we did. And it's super cool. So shout out to Rich. I hope to get to know him, and I wish him well in his new position. There. And it's a very interesting industry for marketing professionals, especially right now, I think. So yeah, I hope, I wish him the best, and I can't wait to speak with him more. Now today, Todd McGee from Dead Air, he's their designer. He's the guy who designs their silencers. I know Todd. I was able to actually speak with Todd for the first time in a few weeks. We actually talked quite a bit. He and I, Todd and I do talk quite often about various things, and it was good to catch up with him and talk about all the things, all the things that Dead Air has going on, what's coming with them, and then kind of what they're dealing with right now with some sides of the business they're dealing with, and of course talk some extremely technical silencer talk, which we usually do when we speak. And we usually have to be very careful when we talk, because the conversation goes very, very long, and it usually goes hours go by, and we lose productivity during the day because of it. It's a problem. We just have a lot to tell each other, and then it's one of those things. And so, long story short, rest assured, Pew Science will be testing the Nomad and the Nomad L. Actually, we explicitly have spoken about that, and that is an initiative that we will be pursuing with Dead Air, and that'd be something I'd probably have to disclose to you, because I don't know if there's probably going to be some kind of, compensation. I was searching for the word. There's probably going to be a compensation from them, in return. I don't know. I don't know if I want to call it compensation, but I want to be completely transparent. And so, if they give me something, I don't want you guys to then find out about that later, and then you think that I'll test. For example, so I haven't tested the Nomad or the Nomad L yet, right? So what I don't want to happen is I test those and I show you results, and let's say they're super awesome. I don't know, because I've only shot the Nomad a few times, and I certainly haven't tested it yet. So I don't want to, anyway, I think you get where I'm going with this. I don't want people to think that, oh man, he tested the Nomad, and the Nomad L are so quiet and they're so great, and everyone knows that they paid him off, and it's come on, man. If I get a free silencer, or if I get compensation for a review, there's going to be a disclaimer in the review about it. And so I'll let you know. Now, if there's not, and it's a completely disconnected thing, and I don't receive compensation, well, then there's not going to be anything in the review, and you'll know that. So it's okay. So I have that in the frequently asked questions on the website. It is a little bit of a gray area to me in some ways, in that I have received free products before from companies, but usually that's actually outside the purview of what Pew Science does. So it's really not something I speak about, and it has nothing to do with this stuff. So, but in this case, I think there's a possibility that I might get something free. And if I do, then you'll know. I just don't want you guys to, I just want to maintain your trust. And that's kind of what I'm saying. So anyway, let's talk about the review now. This is review 6.11. 11. Man, it's pretty cool. It keeps going up. Pretty neat. So the Sandman-S. Now, this silencer has been on the market for a while. I'm not sure when it was released, actually. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but it's been years. This thing has been out for, it's not super old, but It's out in a lot of consumer hands. They've made a lot of them, you know? And so as a result of that, its performance should be fairly well known to many of you. Like many of you who are listening probably know about the Sandman-S, and chances are you've either heard it being fired, or you fired it, or you've talked to a lot of people who have impressions of it. So its performance is rather well known, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But if it's not, and if you don't know anything about it, that's okay. We're going to talk about it. Talk about it right now. So the Sandman series from Dead Air is interesting to me. They have, well, what they've done, so they have a few of them. So so you have the S that we tested, okay? And then you have a shorter version called the K, which I guess stands for Kurz. And Kurz is a German word which means short. So it's like, I guess it's like the Sandman-S with the Sandman short, and then the Sandman K, which is like the short. Like a lot of companies do that, right? Like they use the K because Germans do that with German guns, and then it's a whole thing. Anyway. But then you have the L. You have the Sandman L, which is English for long. A lot of folks seem to put the L on there too. And then finally the fourth Sandman is the TI, the titanium. And the titanium one is different. That's a direct thread silencer. And it's kind of like the L, in size, but it's made of titanium instead of steel. So yeah, it's threaded. So okay, let's talk about the mounts then. The mounts, not the TI, but the direct thread. But let's talk about the Sandman K, S, and L, the mount that they use. So the S and the L, the K, they have a welded proprietary mount system. It's like the rifle silencers from Rugged in that way. They aren't really similar, except that they're proprietary. That's like the only similarity. Now, the Dead Air system is called a key mount system. It has this little toothed or indexed tab in the mount collar, and you line that up with the muzzle brake or the rifle, or the flash hider on the rifle on the gun. Like whatever you're using. I don't know, I guess it doesn't have to be a rifle. Technically, it can be a pistol. But you can use different muzzle mounts, like different weapon mounts that you thread to your barrel. And then when you seat the silencer onto the mount, then you can rotate the entire silencer, and it will ratchet and lock into place until you turn it the opposite way. When you turn it the opposite way, it unlocks it, and then you can remove it like the same way that it went on, because it has that indexing tab, right? So theoretically, in a perfect world, it's pretty simple to operate. Now, when testing the Sandman series, the Sandman? Yeah, sometimes industry groups we call them the Sandman. It's kind of weird. Anyway, when testing the Sandman, I have had the mounts stick. Or get locked up. Now, what I've had to do to remove them is I've had to use a wrench, like an open-ended wrench, maybe like a crescent wrench, and put that on the locking collar itself, which kind of has these little flats, and I've had to use it to unlock it. So that's just a heads up. Hey, and just so you know, like if you're just now getting into silencers, or you don't shoot a lot with silencers, you probably will come to realize that I don't care what mount you have from whoever you have it from. I don't care. I'm serious. Like any mount, you're probably going to carry a strap wrench with you eventually when you go somewhere, like when you're going to shoot a lot, because things happen. And I have yet to see any silencer design where everything has gone every mount has been perfect. I've yet to, like, and by perfect, what I mean is, like, something's able to be removed by hand expediently 100% of the time, always. You know what I mean? And like, if anyone can tell me about something like that, either they haven't shot it enough or like they're lying to you. Like, that's my opinion of that, because I mean, I've shot pretty much everything, pretty much every rifle mount, I guess. Anyway, so, and I'm not talking about like a rifle mount that you have babied and clean meticulously and always look after and all this stuff. I'm talking about like silencers that people have beat up and used, and mounts that are dirty, and, you know, I'm talking like real used stuff. Like, don't like miss me with that Safe Queen stuff, man. That's not real. So anyway, what I'm saying is, the key mount system, it's a pretty simple mount. We're going to talk more about it, but I'm just saying it's pretty simple. Can it get stuck? Absolutely. Okay, if you haven't got one stuck, well, you know, you will. Anyway, there's some really good thing about it besides it being simple. Now it has a repeatable repeatable connection. So the zero is maintained, which is pretty nice, right? You wouldn't think that would be, you know, sometimes on QD mounts, which is this, I would consider this a QD mount, quick detach. Sometimes on QD mounts, the index location, rotationally, I guess you could say, will index and then index incorrectly. Not incorrectly, but it will index too far or not far enough. And the timing of it, like if you were looking at the hands on the clock, like let's say you lock your silencer on with a certain QD mount and your index point is at 1 o'clock, let's say. Well, then, like, what happens, like, if next time when you put it on, the index point's at 12 o'clock or at like 1:30 or like 12:05, or like, you see what I mean? So like, if it doesn't have a repeatable locking bottom out, for lack of a better term, or repeatable locking position, then a couple things can happen. One, well, okay, not really a couple things, but one thing with respect to this conversation we're having right now, these statements I'm making right now, one thing that can happen is if you have a differential in your rotational position of a silencer from mount to mount, meaning from shot session to shot session, then depending on the baffle geometry and the silencer and the alignment and a lot of other factors, you may have a differential point of impact shift. Because take away the fact that most point of impact shift should, with a good silencer, occur because of the weight of the silencer, right? Usually, if you have a really good silencer, the weight of the silencer is the thing that's causing a point of impact shift. That's what you want, because you can't get away from that. Mass is mass, and you can't get away from that. That's going to change the harmonics of the barrel. It's going to move the barrel differently when it fires, which is going to end up at a different place, and you know as the bullet leaves, and that's why you get a point of impact shift when you have mass on the barrel. But what I'm saying is, if you have a silencer rotated, then you can induce some possible strange turbulence inside the silencer that will deflect the bullet ever so slightly before it leaves, in which then downrange that distance will of course be magnified due to geometry, and then it will shift your point of impact. So that's why dead air has a good mount, in that it should, for all intents and purposes, lock in the same position. Okay, so what are some things that maybe it needs to improve? Some bad things maybe. Well, it gets stuck. We talked about that. Now, that might not be a big deal because a lot of things get stuck. Now, one other thing though is the weight of the mount itself. My gosh, are those flash hiders and brakes heavy? I tell you what, they're pretty much a quarter pound, right? They're like 4 ounces. A pound is 16 ounces, guys. 4 times 4 is 16, right? So, quarter pound. Just for the brake or the flash hider, just for the brake or the flash hider, you got a quarter pound. So, I mean, imagine that. Imagine at the end of your rifle barrel, all right? Not counting the weight of the silencer, all right? So, you can use the dead air system with other silencers. I mentioned it's proprietary, but it is proprietary in that the Sandman series has to use it. But it's also okay. The mounting system is proprietary, but this proprietary mounting system can be used with other silencers. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit different than the other way around. So you can use it with the Omega, for example, or any silencer that has the same rear female thread diameter and pitch, because they make this thing called the chemo. So instead of key mount, it's like the chemo. It's like a modular mounting system that uses the key mount muzzle devices, but the female part, the mount part that is welded to the back of the Sandman series, or the Sandman, that has a thread part, and that will thread into the back of a silencer like the Omega. So it's modular. So you can use the key mount muzzle devices with it, and it might be good for folks that have some Sandman and they want to use other silencers on their guns and they don't want to invest in different muzzle devices, for example, I guess. So, hey, I get it, man. I get it. For example, let me give you a personal example. So, if Rugged were to offer something like that, I might use their mount with my energetic armament Vox, for example. But Rugged doesn't offer that, so I don't. Rugged's like one of the only companies, with a kick-ass mount that they don't offer it separately. Now, I did think about using the dead air chemo with my Vox. But gosh, the Vox is so light, so why would I use something heavy like the chemo? Right? Makes no sense to me. It would like take away some of the awesomeness of the Vox, which I think some of the awesomeness of the Vox and silencers like it are the weight and the size. I think that's really neat. It's a little K. I think it's a little K silencer personally. They have a Vox K, but no, man. I think the Vox S is a K silencer. To me it is. Now, another thing about the key mount system, which I find a little odd, is the caliber rating. Now, I'm not 100% certain about this, but judging by the construction of the Sandman-S, I feel like it should be rated for Magnum rifle calibers like 300 Remington Ultra Mag. So do I have one of those? No. Does being rated for that indicate it has acceptable factor of safety for pressures involved? I mean, it should. Yet, the Sandman series is limited to 300 Win Mag. I mean, it doesn't have barrel length restrictions, which means that, theoretically, one could put the silencer on a short barrel 300 Win Mag, which I think would be a little weird. I don't know. I think it'd be really weird to put, I don't know. I haven't done a pressure and impulse comparison of the 300 Remington Ultra Mag and 300 Win Mag. But to me, it stands to reason that the mount is a limitation here. Now, if that's the case, which I think it is, that is another drawback to me because I'm all about mount strength. Now, thread mounts are typically the simplest way to get strength with lightweight. I mean, threads are pretty strong. Now, next are latchless thread mounts. Like, for example, the Plan B, Plan A, blah, 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 blah. Now, then you have to have, then you have the latch mounts that are super strong, like, the Rugged mount and others. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about the key mount system limitation, and someone can educate me. You can email tech@pewscience.com, and we can talk about it, tech@pewscience.com. But, I'd be happy to discuss this with folks. I forgot to talk about it with Todd today. We he and I have talked about this before. I just don't remember. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm not right, which is great. So let's talk about the rest of the silencer now. Silencer gets the 32.6 suppression rating, a little lower than the Trash Panda, but higher than the Vox. But it is lower than the Omega. Okay. The Sandman series in general is designed to have lower back pressure so that you can use it more favorably on semi-auto and full auto hosts. Okay. So as you can imagine, it has lower back pressure than the Omega, but it is louder than the Omega. Funny how that works, right? Especially because the Sandman baffles aren't that different than the baffles of the Omega. When you really look at them, they are quite similar. Now, they're stepped cones instead of curved cones. And they made the mill cut deeper so you get more gas through the center orifice. Now, those are the differences I noticed. It's funny because I was talking with, when I spoke with Todd today, who designed it. I did ask him. I was like, hey, so did you look at the Sandman-S review? And he's like, he hasn't looked at it like super in depth, but he looked at it and he's like, yeah. He's like, well, you got that right. And he's like, yeah, you definitely got. He's like, that's cool. And we talked about it, and he's like, yeah, that's what we tried to do. I was like, I knew you did. I mean, it's like duh. When you look at the thing, when you look through the bore, you can see it's bigger. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure this is all right. I kind of confirmed. I really wouldn't be saying this if I didn't think it was right. So, anyway, if you have any questions about it, let me know. But anyway, those are the main differences that you're getting. That's how you're getting lower back pressure with the Sandman series than you are with something like the Omega. They just have a bigger hole in it. Okay, so it's kind of important. Now, the silencer weighs 21.7 ounces as tested with the mount. Dang, man. I mean, put that on the end of your bolt gun and tell me you don't feel it. This isn't even a full-size silencer, guys. This is Sandman-S. This is not a full... By the way, this is a good point I need to make right now. By the way, all these 308 silencers that I've reviewed so far for you, like that I've published, these aren't full-size. Dude, we're not even there. We're not even into the full-size ones yet. You guys haven't even seen... Man, you don't even know. This is like, we're in this category, I loosely say category, we're still in like the shorties, man, for 308. I don't know, like some of you guys that are new to silencer industry, smaller silencers are louder. And there's this huge trend in the industry for short things because everyone wants short and blah, blah, blah. But hey, that's a new trend. 10 years ago, no one wanted a short silencer. We wanted quiet silencers. So just so you know. Now, there are some exceptions, and you're going to see that coming up in the coming few weeks and stuff. What you can do with a shorter length, but it requires some special sauce. Anyway, I don't want to spoil things. Did I just spoil something? I might have. It's okay. Speculation's good. Keeps you on your toes. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, it's heavy. And it's not even that big. So, I don't know. If this thing were super quiet, which by the way, like I just said, there's quieter 308 silencers, and you'll see those reviews, then maybe I would be willing to put up with the weight on the bolt gun. If the Sandman-S was quieter, I would be willing to put up with the weight on a bolt gun. But it's just not quiet enough for me to justify the weight on a bolt gun. Now, my personal opinion, is that if you have a super heavy silencer that will probably never break, and you want to use that on a bolt gun, unless you're dedicating it to range work only, and you're not going to want to carry this in the field, that's just it. Like, you're not going to want to carry it in the field. I've been there. I've done that with heavy bolt gun cans when hunting, and it's not cool. Okay? I've been there. I have killed animals with very heavy centerfire rifle silencers on bolt guns in the field, in the rain, hiking on foot, on the four-wheeler, South Texas. I've done it. I've done it many times. And you think it's cool. It's not cool. Okay? Trust me on that. You don't want that. Unless you're like barely moving, barely doing it, and you don't do it that often, I don't know, man. Climbing up hills and like up ladders and stuff. Like, I don't know. Why would you do that? Why would you put like a freaking 2-pound silencer on your gun? So anyway, now sometimes if a silencer is way quieter, me personally, I can make exceptions. Like, if a silencer is so quiet that it's like, holy crap, that thing's quiet, I might put a 2-pound silencer on my gun. Just because, like, I'm a silencer nerd, and I'm like, dude, listen to the silencer. And people are like, whoa, that's crazy. And then they pick it up, they're like, that's so heavy. I'm like, yeah, I know. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, excuse me. So, anyway, I'm just giving you my personal opinion on that. Now, I'm like I said, if a silencer gets crazy quiet, which is a weird thing to say for 308, because 308's loud, but I'm willing to be more open-minded about weight sometimes. Just my opinion. So let's look at the numbers. So peak sound pressure 1 meter left of the muzzle. Let me pull up the review so I don't butcher this. I don't want to tell you something wrong. So, Jay, you said it was this, and then I bought the silencer and you lied. Oh, God. It says, it's all on the website. Okay, check myself here. Yeah. Okay, so 1 meter left of the muzzle, 151.9 decibel peak sound pressure average. Average peak sound pressure. Man, tell you what, that's right, 151.9. Man. 151.9 decibels. Do you understand? That's average sound pressure at the muzzle. Peak. Do you understand what that means? Like how high that is? Like, I don't think people understand. And if you don't understand, and if you're new to this, and if you would like to understand the decibel scale, and that it is logarithmic, and that larger differences at the higher part of the scale are more significant than the same distances at the lower part of the scale. Like, for example, the difference between 150 and 151 decibels is way, way, way more than the difference between 120 and 121 decibels. Like, both are 1 dB different, but once you get high up, the actual difference in sound pressure is way more. And if I just blew your mind, that's okay. Like, on the website, if you click on the silencer sound standard, and if you go to silencer sound standard 0.2, SSS 0.2 methodology introduction, there is a treatise that I have written, and you can read it, and it walks you through step by step by step, all the way through to tell you what a decibel is, what it looks like, what a unit of Pascal of pressure is, how big a decibel is, the different parts of the scale, what to know, what not to know, all that stuff. So, whenever I talk about decibels and you want to know, and I'm saying something, you're like, oh, that's not that different than blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, dude, check it. 151.9 is no joke. All right, that's freaking loud. All right, it's freaking loud. And I know I talk about sometimes with people, and they're like, well, how come that this silencer got a lower suppression rating and it has a lower decibel? And I'm like, yeah, I know there's some other factors. Suppression rating takes into account a lot of stuff with the human ear, and it's complicated. But what I'm telling you right now is 151.9 decibels. Dude, these silencers we've tested have been loud at the muzzle. All of them. Okay? I mean, the Omega wasn't. I'm gonna go back. Let me go to that right now. I'm doing this live right now. All right, I'm gonna click on the Omega review because I can't remember what it got. Yeah, so the Omega, the average pressure 1 meter left of the muzzle is 148 dB. 148 dB is way, 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 way lower. Way lower than 151.9. Okay? You're like, oh, that's only 4 dB, Jay. That's not that much. That's a lot lower. Dude, 100, okay, well, let's look at it. Let's look at, since I'm talking about it, I don't want to leave you hanging here. So let's see. Let me just calculate it real quick because that way I won't even butcher it. I'll just tell you the exact number right now. All right, so 148 dB is 502 pascals of sound pressure. Okay? 148 dB is 502 pascals of sound pressure. Okay, 151.9 is 787. So you went 787, 500. Okay. Let me calculate another thing for you real quick. This is like, so be patient with me. Okay, so 502, 787. Okay, so 787, let's get the calculator out here. 787 minus 500, 287. Okay. Divided by 500. 57% more sound pressure going between from at the muzzle from the Omega to the Sandman-S. That 4 dB gave you almost 60% more sound pressure in magnitude physically. So when you see differences like that, and then you see other people doing testing, and it's been a while since I've actually mentioned other testing, because I told you guys, like, I don't pay attention to anyone else. Like, I don't need to. But this is one of the reasons why when I hear things like, well, the numbers are pretty close to whatever, so it really doesn't matter. It's like, dude, don't give me that. When you're talking about 152 decibels versus 148 decibels, you're talking about a different ballgame. And so don't be, now for the same ammo, for the same rifle, now keep in mind, like, there's some things that happen that you need to look at. But anyway, what I'm saying is, yeah, that's different. So 151.9, I didn't mean to like go off on some weird tangent there, but I felt like I haven't really talked about technical details about numbers in quite some time with you guys. And I didn't want to like gloss over something, assuming some folks understood, and then just be like that guy, and then just go on and on and on, and then you don't understand what I'm saying. So anyway, so it gets 151.9 at the muzzle. Now, it also lets the gas out in a hurry. Because remember, I talked about it had high flow from the larger center orifice, so it's really fast. It gets it, guys. It gets it out so fast. It has lower back pressure than the Trash Panda. Okay? I mean, this is like a purpose-built low back pressure silencer. Okay? Now it's not as quiet as the Trash Panda. But we already talked about why that is. Volume, things like that. Now, we're going to do a members-only research supplement in which we will go super in-depth with hearing data for these silencers to compare them to each other, just like we've done for, because our members, if you're a member, you've already seen this for, what did we do it for already? We did it for the Trash Panda and the Vox. We did it for the Rugged Obsidian 45, the CGS Mod 9, and the SWR Trident. That was like a three-way. That was a crazy one, right? If you're a member and you saw our, which one was it? Real quick. It was Research Supplement 6.9. That one was, as the kids would say, that was fire. That was quite impressive. I impressed myself with that one. That was awesome. Now, we're going to do that again. We're going to start doing that more, but I just wanted to get more of these out first for you. I want to get more of these out so that you have like a little bit of a bigger data set before I start doing that more, because I think it's going to be cooler when you get to see more comparisons. Because that, I think, okay, it's going to be cool because everyone likes comparisons, because like everyone likes competition, right? That's one like inherent human trait I think that is going to make it cool. But the other thing that's cool is that as you see more comparisons of more silencers, chances are you've actually personally heard one or two or three of them. And when you do that, and then you see another one and how it compares, then you're really going to know what's going on. Because really, until you have shot a silencer, you have no idea what to expect. Now, the suppression rate is intended to help you understand like your perception and like relativistic type. Like it is objective in that it gives you a rough idea of like the shot dose before permanent hearing damage happens. But again, if you've never shot a silencer, I recognize that this is a weird concept to get like to put into your brain to really chew on. So anyway, as we have a big, I encourage you, if you have never shot a rifle silencer like on a 308, I encourage you to do that. Find a friend, find a gun club, find whatever, and do it, because once you get a peg point, I want you to come back. I want you to email me at tech@pewscience.com, and I want you to give me your experience. And then we're going to talk about it. And then you might even use that as a peg point. And I might say, well, guess what? Guess what's quieter than that? Or, oh, hey, guess what's louder than that? And you'll be like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, I know. That way you'll know what you're going to buy for hunting season, right? That's what I'm trying to do, this little secret on giving you all these 308 reviews so you can buy a deer rifle silencer. Okay. I'm a big proponent of whitetail deer hunting. It's one of the best things in the world. Now, so we're going to do members only research supplement, but you're going to have to wait a little bit, but it's okay because you're going to get more data. Oh man. Now, there's a lot of cool stuff in the review, the Sandman review, that you should check out if you haven't. Now, seeing the way the sound signature looks super early in time and comparing that to the Omega in the previous review, like in the review before that, man, that is just really neat. And I think being able to do that with PewSoft really benefits you guys, because you get to see different events and what they actually physically mean, and you get to understand more about, you know, what the sound coming out of a silencer really is. And that makes me happy, because it should give you more confidence in the data, right? Because you're seeing more than just gone are the days of one number reviews, guys. They're gone. Now the suppression, if there's one number, suppression rating, baby, that's all you need. But gone are the days with no backup. Like I'm backing this up, dude. I'm giving you, like, I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm telling you, look, I'm going to give you that one number, but here's how I got it. Look at the data. Okay? And that's why I think I'm so proud of this, because it's just really great. Now, there's not much else I can say about the Sandman-S than I've already said. I mean, it's durable. It's for machine guns. And the mount works pretty well for a lot of people, but it's heavy. And it's not the quietest. And since it's mostly used on semi-auto or full auto hosts, where you're probably going to be using hearing protection, maybe that's okay, you know? I mean, objectively, if you were looking for a quiet silencer for your 308 bolt gun, or if you were looking for a lighter silencer for your 308 bolt gun, like a lighter one, I think you'll be able to find things that meet your requirements better than the Sandman-S. That's my honest opinion. And you know what? And I don't think anyone at Dead Air would disagree with you. You know, I like the Sandman series. They're neat, but I also sort of like the rugged mount more. Personally, this is Jay saying this personally. I have to say, especially Rugged's little M2 brake, it's 1.5 ounces instead of 4. So see, and it seems to be stronger. So, you know, from a design standpoint, that's kind of neat. You know, you can't put it under a handguard like you can put a Dead Air silencer under a handguard. I wouldn't do that anyway, but you can. Now, before I leave this topic, I just thought of something. Pressure. I just said pressure again, like internal. Now, I'm not talking about sound pressure right now. I am talking about I'm not talking about external blast pressure. I'm talking about internal in the barrel now. I haven't done instrumented internal pressure measurements of the barrel during firing of large magnum caliber rifle cartridges, and I would postulate this isn't a guess. This is a postulation. Okay, it's a guess. Who am I kidding? I'm guessing that if you had a 300 Remington Ultra Mag, which I don't have one of those. I don't really need one of those. Where I hunt, there is nowhere far enough to even, there's South Texas. I can't even see far enough through the brush to even hope to use a Remington Ultra Mag. I can get on top of a hill probably and do some crazy long range stuff, but I'm just not that guy. Now, I don't have one, but I'm guessing that if you cut a Remington Ultra Mag barrel down from I don't know, what are those barrels, 24 inches, 22 inches, 20 inches? I'm guessing if you got a 16-inch Remington Ultra Mag barrel or like a 14-inch Remington Ultra Mag barrel, I'm guessing that you would blow up a silencer. And I'm guessing that you might blow up a rugged silencer. I don't know. They say there's no barrel length restrictions, and they say it's ready for Remington Ultra Mag. I wonder what that means. Does that mean that, I wonder if that means that they don't think anyone's going to use it on a 16-inch Remington Ultra Mag, or if it means that it has actually been tested on that. Because if it's actually been tested on that, dang, man, that'd be crazy. Because that if you cut the barrel down and the volume in which the combustion products have to expand is smaller. I don't want to oversimplify this, but the pressure is going to be higher. And not only that, but the duration might be higher. Because remember, there's this thing called impulse I talked about in every single review ever, also on the podcast last time. And I was talking about how impulse is another way of saying momentum transfer potential, and a way of saying that mathematically is the area under the pressure time curve. And then we talked about how inside the barrel there's a pressure happening, and then that also has a time component, and it's a function of time. And then if you took the area under the pressure time curve in the barrel, that would be like the impulse inside the barrel that ARs use to cycle the gas system. Well, if you had a bolt action and it was Remington Ultra Mag and you cut the barrel in half, cut it shorter, and then put I don't know, a rugged silencer on there, or a dead air Sandman on there or something, and you shot it, I wonder how short the barrel could be before you blew up the silencer. Because hey, guess what? Silencers have blown up from that stuff, like Lupua, like a 338 Lupua Magnum, crazy round. People used to think they're oh, I can put a silencer on this, and then they put a silencer on it. I'm not talking about rugged silencers or dead air Sandman. I'm talking about another company's silencers. They're made of titanium, and they put these titanium silencers on there, and I'm not talking about Q, by the way. So don't even try to start a rumor right now. You see how it happens? I know what you're thinking, and I haven't even published the podcast yet, so I can see the future. No, it wasn't Q. It's another company. Now they blew up silencers. Silencers came apart. So how about that? Hey, to their credit, they didn't know anyone was going to freaking take a 338 Lupua Magnum barrel and cut it down shorter than normal and then put a silencer on it. What reason would they have to think that? I'm not defending them. I'm just saying could have happened to anybody that didn't test their stuff. I don't know. Whatever, man. All I'm saying is I just wanted to add that part about pressure because I am not a crazy rifle Magnum guy. For example, one Magnum rifle cartridge that I am interested in all honesty, is 300 Win Mag. I've shot 300 Win Mag. I've never gone hunting with 300 Win Mag. But what I have done with 300 Win Mag is shoot steel at 500 yards. And I tell you what, that was fun. And I liked it. And it was on my, I had this buddy, I haven't seen him in a long time, but my buddy I used to shoot with, he had this really cool 300 Win Mag bolt gun. I don't recall what type of, like what the brand of the gun was, what the make of the gun was, but he had this really, it was a 300 Win Mag with a fairly long barrel. He didn't have a silencer because that's not his, he's like kind of old and he's not a silencer guy. I hope that changes. Anyway, he had this really cool Night Force scope on it. That was like one of the first times I'd really spent significant time behind a Night Force, and really, like, I really appreciated it. It was that glass, man. I'm not really a super duper optics guy. But dang, like every time I have looked through a Night Force scope, goodness gracious, it was so nice. And anyway, 300 Win Mag. So I've been thinking, until I got into this 300 blackout kick, which is like going the opposite direction, I had been thinking I was going to build or buy a 300 Win Mag, and use one of my rugged rifle silencers on it because I know they'd be fine on it. So I think there's a place. I think there's a place for durable and strong silencers, for bolt guns, for the Magnum rounds too. So, if you have I think the Sandman, you can use it on 300 Win Mag. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're doing it like 300, a bigger 300 cartridge, like 338, obviously you can't put that in a 30 caliber cartridge or silencer because that would be bigger than the bore size. But like 300 Remington Ultra Mag is a 30 caliber, and it is a big freaking cartridge. So don't put the Sandman on there. Call Todd at Dead Air and see what he recommends, but maybe there's something you can do. I don't know. I have a feeling they've done it, but I just don't want to say it because I know it's not officially rated for it. Okay. Okay, that's the first topic, and we're an hour in. See, this is what was going to happen to me. Oh my God. All right, how am I going to do this? All right, screw it. Topic 2. Mount feedback. Okay, this is a weird one kind of, but I think it's important. I want to address a comment, and you know what? If you want to see the comment, it's on our website right now. It's under, anyway, it's about mounts. It's about something I said. So we got a comment, and it's on the podcast page, but it's on the episode 16 page instead of the episode 17 page. And I think the thing I said they're responding to, I think it was from episode 17, unless I'm not sure if the gentleman or the lady, whoever they were that commented, I'm not sure if they commented on the wrong episode or if I'm confused about when I said what. Because I could very well be confused. I am not good at remembering all that stuff. I say a lot of stuff. So it is from a person using the handle Nameless. And man, I swear it's almost like I almost recognize that handle. Is that person from like NFA Talk or something? Nameless. Like I saw that, I was like, at first I thought I had, anyway, I don't know. I don't care. They didn't use their name, which I think is weird. So I'm going to read their comment verbatim. Okay, Nameless writes, "This whole taper location preference discussion is nonsensical. Without flow, carbon barely makes it past the thread lead-in. You don't see people having issues unthreading direct thread mounts from either muzzles or tubes. Both Thunderbeast and Griffin have successful systems opposite Q's sophistic preference and artful marketing of taper location. If you need a muzzle device to function as a standalone, sans suppressor, the Cherry Bomb is worse than worthless." Okay, so Nameless, spitting hot fire. Okay, so to that, so first off, I responded to this person publicly, and you can read my response on the website. I will read it now. I said, hello nameless, thanks for listening. We have had differing experiences. Yeah, so we've had issues with carbon fouling on threads in the following cases. Okay, so number one, threads that are too long, and this speaks to their point. Okay, this speaks to their point. Now, where there's flow around the threads, I agree with them. I agree with them in that point. Now, when there's flow around the threads, there are issues with unthreading and threading silencers because you get gunk in the threads. No question. And they are on the right track, and I am in full concurrence. Okay, now number two, though. We have had issues, and I'm not talking about just in that case when the threads are too long. We've had issues when there's threads in front of a seating taper. And we've had issues with the silencer that uses that mounting scheme in particular. And it's a real issue, and we had it in our testing, and we will talk about that more when we release a review talking about it. I am not going to address that yet until I've had a chance to talk to the manufacturer, because I am not going to throw that manufacturer under the bus. Okay? So, I want to be very clear. But I'm not talking out of my butt here. Okay, so, I don't know about this. Anyway. The third thing I wanted to say about that is that muzzle device function without a silencer, man, that is such a great point. And I am sorry that I did not say, I'm not sorry, but I should have mentioned that before. Did I not? Maybe you know what? I said a lot of stuff. Maybe I didn't mention it. I don't recall. Now, if you need to use a brake or a flash hider without a silencer on it, and you need it to reduce muzzle rise or recoil or flash, that is a good thing to think about. I do not have experience with a Q cherry bomb without a silencer present. I just don't, guys. I've never shot a Q cherry bomb without a silencer. Like, why would I do that? Like, I'm all about like suppressed weapons. Like, in fact, like, okay, let me frame something for you. If I zero an optic on a gun with a silencer and I take the silencer off, do you think my gun's still going to be zeroed? Most likely it's not. So why would I shoot it? You feel me? So like if I have silencers on every gun, like so the reason I'm saying this to you is because I don't want people to think I'm lying or be super surprised when I say that I haven't shot a certain muzzle device without a silencer on it. Because it's like, why would I not use a silencer? Like, what is this? Anyway, but I appreciate, so that's a very good point that this person made. This nameless person, sir or ma'am, thank you so much for bringing those points up. I think it's excellent. I think you bring up excellent points. Thank you for the comments, and feel free to comment again, man. I don't, or woman, whoever you are. That's great. I really like the discussion. I kind of wish I could just talk to you about it instead of this weird one way where we're like using pigeons to deliver messages. Now, I guess that resolves the comment. You know, I knew that on the previous episode I was going to get feedback when I even said it, I think. A lot of people feel very strongly about mounts, and that's totally fine. So let me elaborate on one experience I had. Oh, man. So, for example, I'm going to talk about a Griffin mount. I was one of the first people, like one of the first industry folks, to evaluate the Explorer series. It's kind of an interesting name. It has two R's on the end instead of, like, you know the word explorer, like the Ford Explorer, or like Christopher Columbus was an explorer. You know that word, explorer. Well, what they did was they took the E out of the end of it, and so it's explorer with like two R's on the end of it. So whenever I read it or say it, I'm like explorer, just because like I'm like, what? I don't know. They probably had a reason. Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Now, when I tested a couple of I didn't test them I shot them. This was like a while back. And, you know, they don't have a plan A mount, as it were, but they operate kind of like it it's almost like the Explorer series is just like they're just like the Q silencers, basically. Except instead of cherry bombs, they have the Griffin mount. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like tubeless silencer. It looks like it has like a little hex wrench flat in the front, and they're really similar. Anyway, so they have a seating taper in there like the Trash Panda and the Thunder Chicken do, but the threads go in front. And I have, you know what, the issue I had with this mount, I don't think it had anything to do with the threads, honestly. And I'm just saying this because I just wanted to tell folks about it. And no one to this day, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. To this day, I don't know what really caused this issue, and nobody else that was with us knows either. There were two other industry people like shoulder to shoulder with me, both extremely experienced with silencers. One of them actually, I'm not going to tell you who was with me. One of them owns a large company, and he's probably shot more silencers than the person who made the Explorer. Okay, I'm going to say that. I mean, I know that for a fact. So anyway, we were all using, I mean, it was a good time. We were not, it was very casual. It was a very casual atmosphere. Anyway, I attached the silencer to the rifle. I was the one who attached it. And I shot the rifle. It was a semi-automatic AR-15. I put the rifle down. No one touched the rifle. Okay? Then I went back to the rifle sometime later. Like, I don't recall the amount of time. I picked up the rifle. The silencer was loose. Okay? Now, the silencer had been properly attached. I attached it by hand with the normal tightening force I would attach a silencer with. I've shot silencers a lot. I don't know why it happened. I don't know why it loosened. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was temperature cycling. I don't know. I really don't know. We were outside, for example. Just to give you some background, it was a particularly cold day. It's a normal day. But you know what it did when that happened to me? And it surprised all of us, first of all. Because I was like, hey, did you guys touch this? They're like, no, why? I was like, it's loose. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's loose. So and I'm not trying to dog any company right now, but I'll tell you what it did. It soured my experience with all taper mounts that have no latch. So that goes for Q, for Griffin, everything. It soured my experience with them. Like back then. This is a couple years ago now. So it wasn't until later that I used the Q silencers, and I ended up liking the Q ones better, and I've never had a problem with the Q mount. Now that I've tested a lot more, right? And now I have more experience, even more experience now with all these. And so I haven't ever had a problem with the Q mount, except I have gotten the Q mount stuck in a Q silencer because it doesn't have rear wrench flats. The Cherry Bomb doesn't have rear wrench flats. So, you know, in practicality for users, it's not a huge deal because most of the time your muzzle device will be properly torqued on your barrel. But because I do silencer testing, I'm many times attaching and removing silencers for the sound test without using a torque wrench and a rock set, right? I'm not going to rock set a mount to a barrel and then take that thing off and then test another silencer, because then I'd have to like soak the barrel in water to get the rock set broken down, right? Because I think that's how you get rock set off. It doesn't come off with heat as easily, right? So then, because, you know, we need to swap silencers for the test. So in those cases, I have had Q mounts get stuck in the, it sucks. Like one time, like I in the Thunder Chicken, I had a Cherry Bomb in the Thunder Chicken. I couldn't get it out. I was like, ah, dang it. The solution to that is you clean the threads of the barrel, you put the rock set on the barrel, you put the silencer on it, you let the rock set cure, and then you can unscrew the silencer. But then you get your muzzle device on the barrel, and you're like, dang, man. Anyway, so that's a problem. If I was Q, I don't know, would I do that? I feel like you just have to make it a little heavier if you did this. But if you wanted to make it a little heavier, you would put a wrench flat on the back or something. It would add weight. I don't know. But their thing also interfaces with their taper barrels, so I don't know if I would do that. If I was Q, maybe I wouldn't change the cherry bomb. I'd have to think about that. This is actually the first time I'm actually thinking about what I would do with that design if I had to change it. I'm sure there's always ways to improve designs. I could probably change it. It might be heavier, but maybe just a little bit heavier. So anyway, that's my experience with the Q mount and the Griffin mount right now. Neither one has had a stuck silencer for me when the muzzle device was properly installed. And like I said, the Griffin one didn't get stuck. It just freaking came right off too easily. So and hey, don't get mad if you like the Griffin mount, or hey, Griffin, if you're listening, which I doubt you're listening to this, but if you are, don't be upset. I'm not insulting your mount. I'm just giving my honest feedback. I don't know what happened. I mean, there are other people there. Maybe it was user error. But again, I anticipate that problem happening with any taper mount where you don't apply adequate fastening torque and you have no way of knowing that it's latched, right? Because that's one drawback to these taper mounts, guys. You don't know if the silencer's on there by looking at it. If you you know what I mean? Like that's one reason why I like the rugged mount. It has that no go gauge on it. Ooh, I don't know. As someone who takes silencers off and on more than he would like, you kind of know it's on there, and you know it's not coming off if you lock it. Same with the ASR. Everyone's like, oh, the ASR is not good. It's like, dude, if you lock the ASR, it's not coming off. So anyway, secondary latching things. A lot of people say they're not needed, but sometimes I like them. I'm not saying I won't ever use a taper mount, because I'm sure I was thinking of putting I was planning on using the Q Plan B for my Vox, for example. I don't know. I might not. I don't know. I hope these are like what I want to do right now. I want you to tell you guys this stuff so you can have some food for thought. You know, I want you to think about this stuff, and then I want you to go use it before you buy it and be like, oh, that is cool, or play with it in the store or something. You know, I don't know. I want to be fair too. So anyway, from my experience with taper mounts with the threads in front of the taper, which did not work very well when it has very dirty threads, I don't want to reveal this one yet. That will be in the review of the silencer, and I want to talk to the manufacturer. Like I said, I want to talk to the manufacturer first before I release that information. So until I do that, I'm not going to reveal which silencer it is, because that's like, I'm going to talk about some stuff that might be bad. And so I want to be fair. To the person who left those comments on the website, you're just going to have to take my word for it right now. Sorry. It's how it is now. But to close the issue, I will say your comment saying that my statements were nonsensical is fairly strong. And I think my comments were quite sensical and backed by real experience. And I know that when you said that only the thread lead-in will get the carbon, I understand what you're saying physically. But what if the silencer is designed in a way that could have carbon get in there? Then what? Okay, so, think about that. So it could happen. So I'm not trying to fight with you here, but I am saying that I thought about this before I said it, and I have experience with it, and I wouldn't have said it if it hadn't happened. So anyway, that's my answer to that. I do appreciate your feedback, and you make good points. Okay. Topic 3. Oh yeah. This is going to be a quick one. So the Liberty Kodiak TL. Man. Older monocore. It's a monocore rimfire silencer. It's getting a facelift. So for those of you who don't know, Liberty suppressors, it's owned by this guy named Dave. He's a pretty cool dude. It's a relatively small company. They're out of Georgia. They have traditionally made some very interesting and unique monocore designs. So a monocore, for those of you wondering, It's like when the core of the silencer is like one piece and it has different chambers in it. So instead of baffles that kind of stack together, it's one piece. Now, and we can talk about that on a later episode. I have an old Kodiak TL from Dave, and it's a monocore 22. The tube is titanium, and the monocore itself is stainless. And it's a pretty quiet silencer. You know what? I've actually tested it. I've used PewSoft to characterize the Kodiak TL on a few different hosts. I'll have to write up some analysis on it sometime, but there are just some other things I want to do first, so I just haven't got around to writing that up. Now, the reason I bring up the Kodiak TL is because Dave recently let people know he's offering an upgrade program for Kodiak TL owners. This is actually not the first time he's done that. So he made a silencer called the Regulator, which was another 22 silencer, and a monocore, and there was an option to upgrade the TL to the Regulator. I think it costs like, I don't know, $350 or something like that. It basically pays for his machine time and parts and everything. Now, this new upgrade, it's actually an upgrade to change from a monocore to an inner tube sleeve that contains stacked baffles. They have a stacked baffle 22 silencer called the Vector, and this upgrade will allow you to have the Vector internals that are scaled down to fit an internal tube sleeve. So the tubes, I think probably the reason Dave did that was to be able to get the baffles out of the tube. Remember the old Silencer Co. Sparrow that Mike Pappas figured out how to put the clamshells over the monocore and the Sparrow so that you could disassemble the Sparrow? That was like Silencer Co.'s only product when the Silencer Co. first started. Anyway, similar to that. So this time Dave is putting a sleeve in the outer tube, the outer titanium tube, which I guess I would keep my original titanium tube that's serialized, and then put the baffles in there. So I don't know. All I know about is what I've seen from Dave's website. I went there this evening before I started this. I figured I would mention it really quick so folks who have a Kodiak TL that are listening can know about this. Excuse me. I know that Mike Pappas from Dead Air either has a Kodiak or he did it one time. I don't remember where we were. I think it was at NRA or SHOT or something. We were talking about it, and he agreed with me that it is a really good 22 silencer. I don't know a lot of other people that own one. And so that's kind of why I mentioned him, I mentioned him because of the Sparrow, that he invented the clamshell for that to put on to McGee's monocore that Todd McGee had made, Form 1. But then, anyway, so I've talked with him about the Kodiak. I don't know who else. That might have been Mike at AAC back in the day. I think maybe Mike Smith had a Kodiak. Who was I talking to? Anyway, I'm going to post a picture of it with this podcast. It's like 6 inches. Well, I don't know. I have it on my desk. Here, let me measure it real quick. It's on a little pistol right here. I'm going to measure it so I can tell you wrong, just in case you're like not going to want to look it up. Let's see. It's a little over 6. Oh, wow. Okay. Just kidding. It's 6.5 inches long. Yeah, it's long, but it's kind of light. I wonder if the new internals are lighter. I don't know. I might not upgrade it. I don't know. I might call Dave and talk to him. What I'm scared is I won't be able to meter this one anymore. Like I won't be able to test it on other hosts, and I've already tested it on some other on like some hosts, like 3 or 4 hosts. What if I want more data from it, and then I won't be able to test it? Then all my data will be like, that's it. No more Kodiak monocore. You know what I mean? So I'm like, do I really want to pay the money and get rid of it when I don't even shoot it that much because I have like an Oculus and the Oculus is smaller? I don't know. Anyway, I thought that'd be cool. So there you go. Topic 4. More parts arrivals for the gun builds. Yeah. Do not look at receipts. You're going to have a bad time. So I got my Colt lore parts kits in. Man, I should have enough parts for that machine gun to last me forever, which is always a good thing. Now, I've been comparing the parts with some generic parts I have, and there are little subtle differences here and there. You know, where some of my generic parts seem cast, some of the cult parts seem to be either cast better or with less seams or something, or like casting marks, or they seem to be machined or cut or differently. I actually don't know, but it's weird, and certain parts are very different. Like the magazine release button, for example, you can definitely tell the generic one from the genuine cult one. Like that's super easy to tell. Now, what is it called? The grip screw. Like you can definitely tell the generic one from the genuine. Like, yeah, I mean the grip screw and the auto sear. Oh my goodness, the auto sear was weird. That one definitely, like the off-brand one. I was like, what the heck? So you gonna make this thing out of Play-Doh? It was weird, man. And but some of them, the disconnector, for example, is pretty close. Like that, the full auto disconnector. I was like, I actually might have mixed one of those up. I was like, dang, I don't know which one is which now. So that's cool. That I actually like. So I'm like, okay, cool. So that part I can reuse. It's hard to tell. Anyway, just some interesting observations now. So like I said, I try not to think about the cost of gun parts because I see them as investments. That's what I tell myself. Now, you're gonna have them forever, right? So if they're quality parts, I really don't have an issue spending money on them. Now, I know that some of you are just gonna disagree with that, and that's okay. One thing that is cool is having cheap parts if something goes wrong, which is neat. But I think I'm at the point in my life where I want quality stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna splurge. I'm gonna treat yourself. You know what I mean? A little bit. So, speaking of parts and possible issues, it's really not an issue, but this is something to remember. Now, one of our Pew Science members, we talk on Instagram, one of these guys, and he dropped his upper, and he had a Q handguard. He has like it was like in his house, and he dropped it on his wood floors, and he told me that it dinged it, like the front of it, in a way to make the last M-lock slot useless. Like you can't install accessories on it. That's a bummer, man. I wouldn't think that they would bend, but I could see it happening. Now, perhaps they are more delicate than people think. No, I thought I would tell people that just in case, so you know what you're getting into. I think that bending aluminum can happen to a lot of handguards, though, man. Depending on how they land when they're thrown. I mean, you're talking about a slot and a tolerance in a slot. I mean, that sucks, but I don't know what is that aluminum? Like, what is it? 6061? What tempering is it? Is it like, what is it, like T5, T6? I don't know. But I don't know how thin it is. It doesn't matter. Like a lot of people get hung up on materials, and it's like, sure, materials matter, but also like, how is the part designed? So like, I mean, is the Q handguard fragile? Like, I don't know. It might be. I haven't had a problem with it so far, but then again, I haven't shot the gun yet. So I mean, hey, it could suck. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of problems with it. I am a little wary. Now, I really like the Q turnbuckle. I really do. I'm a big fan of the way it installs on the barrel nut. Now, I was talking to someone who said that they were having a problem holding zero with their IR laser on the Q handguard. Because, okay, this individual I'm speaking with, he shoots with night vision. And because he shoots with night vision, he uses an IR laser to paint his target. Okay, and the IR lasers, typically you will put that on a forward mount on your handguard, on like an AR-15, for example. And he did that with a Q handguard, and he told me that he was having trouble holding a zero, which would indicate to him that the Q handguard was moving relative to his gun, which would to me mean that the turnbuckle was loose, possibly, or the handguard was flexing, possibly. Those are the only two things I can think of, right? So, or the connection to the the turnbuckle. So I was like, did you Loctite your turnbuckle? And I think he said yes. I was like, okay, that was weird. So again, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to see that happen because never say never, but I might put an IR laser on mine, but I don't know. Should I be concerned? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you this. I thought this guy is actually a really cool dude that talked to me about his handguard that he dropped. He supports Pew Science, which makes him super awesome, obviously. So I thought I would take his information and broadcast it to everybody, because all my conversations with the guy so far have seemed pretty cool, and he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. And I want to make sure that maybe by saying this, maybe some other folks might say something, and if they do, I can relay that information to Q. How about that? Maybe we'll fix it. Or it could be an isolated incident. Or someone's going to tell me, oh, well, I dropped my Aero Precision handguard on a rock or on my floor or whatever, and it dented this one thing, and now I can't put something in the M-block slot. Because, guys, if you drop something, I don't care what it's made out of, man. You can break stuff. It's not like his handguard broke. Something happened to the little thingy, like the little dimension or something. I haven't seen pictures, so I don't know. Anyway, it sucks. I'm sorry that happened. But things happen, and I have broken my fair share of gear in my day. Trust me. So that sucks. So what else did I want to say about parts today? It's really for now. I'm searching for an LMT enhanced bolt carrier group. Man, they're unicorns. I can't find one. Oh, you know what though? What happened today? It sucked. Oh man. I posted on my Instagram story before I started to record this. Man, you know how I bought those SureFeed mags? I waited weeks and weeks for those to come. I was so stoked. I got a surprise shipment notification this morning. I woke up this morning and saw a little email that said, hey, you have a new shipment from Lambo's Armory. I said, oh, hot diggity dog. My mags are coming today. Well, that's great. Man, I don't have any ammo, but my mags are coming. That's so cool. So then I was super excited. And not only that, they were going to come today. And I was like, wow, that was cool. I did wait a long time for the shipment notification, but man, they're going to come today? FedEx? Perfect. I'm working from home. I'll be here when the FedEx guy comes. Perfect. No problem. One less thing on my list, right? I'm thinking, that's a good way to start the morning, start making coffee. Hey, what a good thing. Now, come to find out, the FedEx guy delivered them to someone else. I ended up getting a package from a guy 2 streets down from me. I tracked the guy down and I gave him his package, but he didn't have my package. I was like, damn. It sucked. I was here. I was on the phone. You know what I was? I was on the... Who was on the... I think I was on the phone with Todd McGee when the FedEx guy came. And I saw the FedEx guy, and I opened the door, and I looked at the package, but I was on the phone, and I didn't want to go out there and go get it and all this stuff. I was like, okay, I'll just get it. I was like, that's a weird box. That box is really big. I know I ordered a lot of mags, but dang. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to leave it out there for a bit. And I got off the phone, and I did some other stuff, and I was like, oh, shit, my mags. And I went out to go get them. And sure enough, that was not my package. I was like, oh no. And so, yeah, I was like, well, and I looked at the map and I was like, where is this? And I looked, and the address was like kind of off from mine. it was sharing some digits, but you could tell the FedEx guy had had a busy day and he was just like really tired or like he wasn't concentrating. And so he mixed it up. Now it was a different street name too, so that was a little bit. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, guys. I don't want to be rude, but anyway, maybe because I gave the guy the package that I did get, I found the person. Maybe that good karma will help. And maybe it will come back to me, and maybe someone who got mine will give it to me. I'm not sure. They haven't yet, and it's already pretty late tonight, and no one has come. So I don't think I'm getting my mags. I spent a lot of money. I bought a lot of mags. So that sucks, man. But speaking of karma, so Will at Magpul saw my story. And he told me it was karma for me not buying Magpul mags. Well, if Magpul would make gray mags, then maybe I would buy some, okay? So talk to your boss. Make it happen, right? So that sucks, right, guys? I feel like a lot of you guys are following this build, and now you're disappointed too. I'm sorry. I'm disappointed. I really wanted my magazines. I talked to FedEx. FedEx told me that if I don't hear anything by Thursday from FedEx, to talk to the shipper to file a claim. So it's Tuesday. If I don't hear anything by Thursday, that means I'm not getting my mags. And that way, then I have to like get my money. What does that mean? Does that mean that Lambo's Armory will refund me? Or does that mean that like they file a claim and then I have to wait for the claim to get the money? Or will they ship me more mags because they're going to file a claim? I don't know how that works. And will it be another 3 weeks? I don't know. My poor mags. You know what really sucks? Someone has those mags, dude. And I bet you it's in my neighborhood. And they haven't given them to me. Which means I'm hoping that it's someone who just hasn't come home yet and is out of town. And my mags are just sitting there on their porch. That's cool. But if someone got my mags and didn't come give them to me and they have them and they're keeping them, dude, that is not cool. Those are mine, man. I bought those. So that would suck. And I have no way of knowing. Like I went around and I was like, well, okay, let me find all the houses that have number sequences that are similar to mine. And so like I tried that for like half an hour. And I was like, okay, like I have way too much stuff to do, and I do not have time to go knocking on every single door that might have a number that's kind of similar to mine and asking. Like I just don't. I mean, what? I'm not FedEx. That's not my job. I want my mags though. Damn, man. It's one of those bummers. It's one of those bummers where you're like. You order something, you almost forget about it. You order it such a long time ago. Every once in a while you check it, like maybe I'll get tracking today. No tracking, okay. I'll be patient. And then you're like really patient. And then that happens. You're like, dang. Okay. Topic 5. Now I'm depressed. Topic 5, 300 blackout ammo. 300 blackout. Okay, I finally grabbed some. I bought some on Monday. I am a little bit excited about this. Now, I bought 500 rounds of Wolf. Steel-cased ammo. Man, I was stoked because I was like, oh, I'm going to get these Surefeed mags. I'm going to load it with Wolf. And then I'm going to do some yard pops with the machine gun with supersonic Wolf. No, don't do that, Jay. Now, 145 grain. Supersonic. It's weird, right? So, there's a couple of reasons why it's weird. First reason, it's steel case. The cases are steel, and they're coated with like a poly coating probably or something. I'm not really huge on steel case ammo, but I figured I'd try it out. It wouldn't be funny if that's the ammo I christened this build with. Most tech is probably like screaming right now if they're listening to this. You're gonna put steel case in the barrel we made? I might. You're gonna learn pretty quick I'm I'm crazy. So yeah, I might just shoot a mag dump a steel case for the first rounds out of this gun. So that might be what I do. Now, probably not, because I have to tune the gas system first. I'm not an animal. So the first reason it's weird is a steel case. The second reason is that it's and it might even be like a bimetal bullet. The bullets might even be magnetic, which is like probably even worse for the barrel. Now, second reason it's weird though, or third reason, is that it's 145 grain supersonic. So it's a weird bullet weight for me. I mean, I shoot 149 grain, 7.62 by 51 NATO. And 150 grain, like 308, but 145? I don't know. We'll see. I need to borrow a chronograph so I can see what velocities I get out of the 7-inch barrel with it. It should be interesting. Now, what should be interesting. It should be interesting to see what the 1 in 5 twist does to it. Oh gosh, what if it comes apart? It won't, right? Oh god, maybe I should shoot it without a silencer first. Oh crap, I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna have to do, because I have no experience with this platform. I'm gonna have to shoot this gun without a silencer first to make sure that the ammo doesn't keyhole. To make sure that it no, not keyhole. I'm sorry. What I meant to say was I want to make sure it doesn't fragment as it comes out of the barrel, because it's spinning it really fast, and I don't know how these Wolf projectiles are made. And since it's a 1 in 5 twist and the RPM is going to be really high, what I don't want to do, if the bullet is like not made correctly, what I don't want to do is the bullet to explode and then go into my baffles of my silencers. That would be a bad day for Jay. So what I'm going to do is not do that. I'm going to, I guess, shoot it into some paper. At relatively close range, see what happens. Yeah, so anyway, it's cheap for today's prices. So I'm gonna give it a whirl. It's gone now. I mean, it's out of stock. Like I bought it as soon as I heard. Now, I just want to shoot the gun. Dang it. So I'm gonna use it to do that. Now, I would also like to test the accuracy to see what I can get. Now, since this is literally my first 300 blackout firearm that I personally own, I want to shoot stuff with it. Like I'll probably set up some wet newspaper or something and see what kind of penetration I can get at various distances. That's always a fun test that gives you an idea of what you can shoot through when you want to shoot through stuff. You feel me? Like with a hunting bullet, it's a good test to see if you can shoot through the shoulder of an animal, which is sometimes a good thing to know. Like being able to punch through both shoulders of a deer, for example, can be super useful sometimes, depending on the hunting environment, I think. For those of you who are new to hunting, or for those of you who don't hunt, you'll learn that eventually. I think that, anyway, so I think the Wolf ammo I got is not good hunting ammo because it's just ball rounds and they're not going to expand. But it will be fun to see what they do. Now, I'm kind of excited to have the ammo since it's so dang new to the U.S. market. So thanks to the cool guy who gave me a heads up that it was in stock. This guy on Instagram DM'd me like out of the blue. Like we had talked like before a little bit, but out of the blue, he's like, dude, blah, blah, blah place in stock now, Wolf 300 blackout. And I was like, oh, say what? And I went there. I was like, okay, cool. Bought a case. Thanks, bro. And then I posted it to my story so more people could. So hopefully you guys got some before it was all gone. So thanks, dude. That was cool of you, man. Yeah, that was like super cool that guy to do for me. Anyway, so by the way, I was speaking with Josh from Silencer Co., the head of their R&D, via email today. And we were talking about 300 blackout bolt gun testing and ideas of how to make it work with an AR to keep the barrel the same and simplify things a little bit. Just like an idea. He was suggesting shooting out of an AR with the gas block turned upside down to block the gas port, and that would turn the rifle into a single shot. It would contain the gas, and then he would use, like he's done that and used a side charging upper. So that way you can use the same barrel, only have muzzle gas, and easily cycle the weapon. Man, it's a good idea. I thought that was so cool. What a good, like that's not like an outside the box idea to turn the gas block upside down to block the gas. Well, if in the case of a clamp-on gas block, I think I probably wouldn't turn upside down, of course, because that wouldn't work. But I'd turn it to the side anyway. It wouldn't matter. The point is you block the gas port adequately somehow. Now, I'm gonna think about it. I kind of want a dedicated bolt action, but man, shout out to Josh for that suggestion. Really good idea. It's making me think about some different options with testing. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think it's worth thinking about. And it's something that, because remember what I talked about last time, guys, in my theory. I talked with Todd from Dead Air about that theory today, about my back pressure computations. So I don't know, guys, if I'm right about all this, which I'm pretty sure I'm right. I don't know, man. If so, I think we're gonna change silencer industry testing more than we already have. And so that, like, buckle up, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think, I don't know. I've been talking to more and more people about it. Well, stay tuned because you're going to see some data and you're like, oh, word. I'm like, It's going to be cool. So speaking of that, now, topic 6, new review coming this week. Yeah. I'm going to add a little feature to it. A little feature. A little something. A little something. I think it's a big deal. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try out a little something new. It's going to give you some data that's pretty cutting edge. And I think it kind of fits in with some of the postulations I've had recently about silencer behavior. So I'm going to do something a little crazy. I'm going to put it in a public review. Okay? I think, our members are going to get some other special stuff later, but in the coming weeks. But this thing, I think, is something that I need to. Excuse me. This thing is something I think I'm gonna need to put out publicly, just because it's because of the ramifications. Some of the stuff I've been showing our members is also very cutting edge and a little crazy, but this is something that, like, I think I've already been talking about a little bit, so I think I have to show it. Now, I think the public will benefit from it, and I think as we go forward, a lot of that will go into members-only reviews. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna like, usually what I would do, my philosophy would be to put stuff in members-only reviews and then slowly roll that stuff out to the public. But that's kind of not how I'm going to do this. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put some stuff like this that I'm about to do in the public reviews, and then slowly roll it into our member reviews. Because a lot of the stuff I'm doing takes a lot more time and work. And I want, whenever that happens, like, I already spent, like, dude, it is really involved. These reviews and analysis they're not easy. And so anytime I'm adding a lot of value, I want to make sure the people that are contributing to the research directly get that value. And so that's what I do for the members, and that's what I'm probably going to do. So I don't know. I'm being a little vague right now because I don't want to, like, blow up my own spot and, like, completely spoil everything. So I kind of want to present the data to a larger group of people right now, and I want to see what people think. And if it's well received, I may take it further. So stay tuned for that. Because I don't know. Because remember, what we're doing and what Pew Science members are funding, this is, like, actual research, man. Like, this is actual where the rubber meets the road research. Like, we're doing testing. We're gathering data. we're examining the data, we're interpreting results, and then we're making postulations and drawing conclusions from it. And we're going in other areas and looking at what else we can do with it. And that's research, right? And so that's literally what we're doing, is scientific research on small arms. So, and I'm doing this like total grassroots. And the reason I'm saying it like this right now is because I want you guys to understand the gravity of this and what you're a part of right now, because it's crazy. So stay tuned for that this week. Your feedback is going to be important on this one. And so this is cutting edge stuff. So when you see it, keep it in mind. Keep that in mind, that this is cutting edge. This is not like, oh, okay, now he's doing this. Be like, what is, like, I want you to look at it and realize you're looking at something that's never been shown. So treat it like that. And when you have comments about it, keep that in mind and tell me, like, dude, I don't know, that could be wrong. And I'll be like, good, cool. Please question it. Please question it. Because if you question it, it's going to get me thinking more and it'll probably be better. I don't want like no one to ever question me. Like sometimes I'm not getting questions on things that I thought I would get questions on. And I'm like, dang man, I can't be right about everything. I'm pretty sure I'm not right about everything. I'm definitely going to make mistakes, but this time I'm pretty sure this is right. Now, I don't know. Could be wrong. The silencer you're going to see this week is super popular, theoretically. And I think the data and the comparisons you see are going to be useful to you. This is going to start to get interesting. And I think it's going to continue. Look, it's already getting interesting, right? And I think it's going to continue to get interesting. And I think 308 silencers right now are they're super hot, man. They're a super big part of the market. Like if you're part of the industry, 308 silencers right now, oh, they're so hot right now. It's like that Zoolander movie with there's Will Ferrell in there. And he's like dressed in that weird outfit with a dog. Oh, I love that movie. Oh, man. 308 silencers are so hot right now. They're so hot. So I am really pleased to be able to be offering you this data. And soon you will be starting to compare a bunch of 308 silencers together and you're like, oh man, we got so much data, we don't know what to do with it. Now, that's all I have for today. It's, hey, am I going to do this in less than 2 hours? That was my goal. Yes, I'm going to do it in less than 2 hours. Yay. Okay. So that's all I have. But I would ask, thank you for listening. Now, I would ask you though, please, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Now, I'm not saying that because I just want a high rating, but I think the higher the rating, the more people see it. So I think that it helps all of us in this community if that happens, because the more people that see this stuff, the stronger the movement gets and the more data you get, which means the better products we get, which means we all win. As silencer folks, right? Is my logic crazy or am I being manipulative? So it would be super cool to give us a 5-star rating. Now, if you don't want to do that, dude, that's totally cool. Like I'm not going to force you. But I feel like if I ask, maybe you will, right? Like I have nothing to lose. I'm like, yeah, please. Now, if you have different feedback, if you want to give a review and you're like, Jay, I was going to give you a 5-star, but I just don't like this and this, and I think you deserve a 1-star. I'm like, dude, don't do that, please. But I understand. Now, if you have different feedback, that's totally cool. Be honest. Be honest. But I just think I was doing some research, and I think that the iTunes system, I'm not even talking about ratings right now, guys. I'm just talking about like programmatically and how the system, like how the game works. I think the way the game works is if you have high ratings on iTunes, which is like the podcast keeper of sorts, then what it does is it puts your podcast in some kind of, I guess it raises its position in some kind of search algorithm, I think, or exposure algorithm, and it allows your podcast to be shown to more people, I think. I could be wrong because I'm not really a web guy. I've just started recently getting into some of the analytic stuff and everything because I'm not really a marketer. Like I'm not a marketing guy. Like I'm Like I'm a technical guy and a gun guy, so I don't really know a lot about that, but I do know that stars are good. Now, I'm also on other like networks, so like if you don't like iTunes, of course, you're probably listening to this on whatever platform you like. Now, as far as if ratings on those make a difference or not, I have no idea. And in fact, I don't even know if you can rate on some platforms. Like for example, like one of my favorite, like the thing I use the most is Google Music. I don't think it's called Google Music anymore. I think it's called Google Play Music. But guess what? I heard that's going away, and they're going to change it to YouTube Music or something. So that's going away. So I think Google has changed, and they have something called Google Podcasts, and that's why I put my podcast on that too. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And then there's Spotify. I'm on Spotify. What is there? Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcast. Yeah, Spotify. And then I also have the RSS link on the website. So like a lot of you guys are like, dude, I do not like any commercial podcast software and I have my own blah, blah, blah. I want to use your direct RSS feed link. And I was like, cool. That's cool. And so I put the RSS feed link on there. So anyone that wants to like hack their podcast life and use a cool app that works for them, use the RSS feed. And if you know what, if you're off the grid and you're like, Jay, I hunt, I shoot, I make it into town once a week to like buy my dog food and use the internet at a Starbucks, and I don't have internet anywhere. I'm on a mountain with no cell service, and I want to listen to your podcast when it comes out. I say, no problem. Go to the website, click on podcast, and guess what? When you click on each episode, you can download an MP3, and you can keep it forever. Do whatever you want with it. That way, you don't need an internet connection anywhere else. A lot of people don't do that because they're scared of losing revenue, I think, or something if they're monetizing their podcast, for example. But there were some people that wanted me to give them MP3s, and so I was like, okay. So you can do that. I don't care. It's like, I feel like the more people that have the information, the better. So I hope that it helps you. I hope that you're finding it interesting. And I hope that there are things that we can talk about later that you like. And please submit topics, questions, things like that. Tell your friends. If you like to support us, please join Pew Science. You can do it for pennies per day, cancel anytime. You can do that at pewscience.com. So thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next review coming this week. Sign up for the newsletter on pewscience.com if you like to stay informed, and I will talk to you folks again soon. Take care. Bye.